Good morning. I like to be punctual, so I am just getting ready and waiting to see if anybody comes. I was thrilled that you people were live last week and that perhaps many of you viewed this last video um, later. And viewing videos later is quite all right. It's just I, I am enjoying creating them, and I hope you enjoy using them. So I'll begin to share a little bit about my inspiration for this morning. Um, I have, you can see it here, it's actually a yoga chair, and yoga chairs are quite different than other chairs because there's more space underneath, so we can do inversions. And you can see there's really no back, it's just the bar. So we use the bars, it's easier for us to sit through. Now, I'm not by any means recommending that anybody go out and buy a yoga chair. It's just that I found yoga chairs very helpful. Now, besides yoga chair, some of my inspiration comes from a lot of my work over decades. It's been done sitting in chairs, working with groups of people who have challenges with standing movement and they can access movement more easily sitting in chairs. So I've done many sessions in chairs and feel like it's really useful for those who need to be sitting in a chair. So I will, play with the chair probably more so than um, I would do necessarily in a group, but I just want to show you possibilities. Now, another reason I was inspired to do this particular video was that um, when I was working with a group earlier this year, they were discussing and describing how, graceful I was moving in chairs. Because one of the things we did was we started off moving in chairs. And because I wasn't sure of fatigue levels with this particular group, so I wanted to make sure that they had those options. And they were responding about my grace, and I later in a different group session showed them, how you can be more graceful moving from a chair and playing with that, coming to standing and coming into weight. So I am going to, oh, hi, Leonardo. Now, this is a rare occasion. Leonardo has put himself in the video. Leonardo's the cat that doesn't let anybody see it except for his family. He loves his boys, he loves Steve, and he tolerates me. So here he is on camera. So now you know Leonardo exists. So I'm just going to come to sit in my chair. You probably won't be able to see my whole body in this experience, and I apologize for, my makeshift studio in my living room in Anderson Air Force Base on Guam. So when we come to a chair, and I just want to share in these experientials, you are free to move as little or as much as you want, and just make sure you have support if some concern or emotion gets stimulated more than you expect. So just make sure you've got your own supports. Now, sitting in a chair, you can play with, how do you sit in the chair? Do you, lean back in the chair, let it support you? Um, do you really bring the buttocks back? Of course, my feet don't too firm on the floor if I'm too far back. So then if I wiggle forward, then I can put my feet on the floor. So you can, first just start to explore what is it like to have your seat in this chair. And as you can see, I no longer have my plaster on, but I certainly don't have 100% range in this wrist that I'm going to do, but I can. So you can play with how you sit in the chair. You can sit sideways, you can sit a little on a diagonal, you can sit forward, you can sit sideways. And sometimes in a chair we can do more movement than we might do standing. So one of the things I like to do in a chair is stabilizing the lower body and then just playing with movement possibilities with the upper body. So you can really feel your core in this, really ground your legs, really move your arms in whichever way they want to go. So that's, one place that you can explore is how is it when you just stabilize that lower body and move the upper body. And sometimes with the people I've worked with, they've really needed to stabilize that lower body because maybe they aren't very stable on their feet. So you can play with how you move with the upper body. And because of this great yoga chair, I can hold on to, these bars and get little stretches along the way if I want to. And different chairs are going to be different. And also, you always need to make sure people are stabilized. Sometimes you can do this exploration against the wall. So if you worry about, like I could tip myself, that was intentional tipping. And of course, that's something you can play with gently. I don't want to encourage anybody to play with this with too much effort strain. So at the same time, playing stabilizing the lower, you can stabilize the upper body and really start to move the legs. And this is really good for some of the people I've worked with who have, challenges mobilizing in their lower body. So you can just play with simple ankle circles, hip movement in there, lead with the knee. So there's a lot of possibilities. Crossing over. You can even, start to, stretch leg. Now that's going to be more than the range of most people, but you can, have them hold a leg, bring it out, have them hold a leg. And I used to, in an old group, actually do, sides. So we could bring one side in, and we could bring in the other side so that we could feel a little bit of that body half. So I used to do this a lot in groups. And then, of course, as you've done the body half, you can then start to bring in both sides of the body. So that's another way to expand on this movement. So, of course, that's gone past that lower and upper body mobility. But, as you start to mobilize, and of course, you can add things like the head tail, or you can come into core and go distal, so you can make a little star, and you can really round that core. And you can really bring that in, and then you can really lengthen out, or you can bring it in and then just lengthen one side out or one limb out. So those are, a little possibility in those 6 patterns of the Bartinia fundamentals, which can also go into brain dance and include, body tapping. And then, you can do a little bit of the spinning if you want to add a vestibular. So those are a little bit of an idea of how you can move in a chair. So then as far as mobilizing to standing, which is the other piece I suggested I would do in this video, is that I had people just play with, what's it like to put a little bit of weight into your feet. You feel that connection to that head and that tail. What is it like to, start to move a little bit in spirals? Because that's a little bit about what I was saying was helping me look like I'm graceful. It's because I understand a little bit about spirals and three-dimensional movement. So if I'm going to create this little spiral and movement, it's going to help me to come up to standing and then come back down. So you use that momentum. So I am spiraling into my core, bringing that up, coming back down, coming back into that core. And of course, we can always, get momentum rocking and feeling ourselves come into the weight in the legs. So we can really feel that. And maybe people we work with might not be able to lift off so well, but you can hold on to the chair and give yourself that, so that you're leading a little bit with the head, but you're still really into the core. And then you can come up to sitting and go back down. So I feel like this is a creative process, and you feel free to play with, the possibilities. But chairs, I have found, are fun to play with. And of course, I tend to be on the floor a lot, but I do like, stretching across the chair. And the people you work with aren't always going to do things like this, but you might have groups of people who find it really fun to do wacky things on the chair, and, once other ways to come up, of course, is leading with different body parts to bring you back. And then, of course, when you stand with a chair, you can always use the chair as something to stabilize you in movement. So like in any prop, it gives you something to hold on to, sense of security, that you can move around, and find ways to get more mobility in your body. And I know you can't see me because I'm off the camera. It doesn't look like anybody was able to join me live. I'll probably do next week on a Wednesday morning, and maybe I'll do it a little bit later. But anyway, just some thoughts. So, yeah, just to return to the chair and find, you may notice how your breath is, that you actually started to mobilize a little bit. You feel a little bit more energy in your body, or perhaps you can really feel your breath really coming in and out. Maybe your heart straightening up a little bit. We can always come back to a chair. Just let ourselves settle in the sit bones. Bring our hands to our body, different parts of the body. Feel ourselves stable, or feel ourselves multi-dimensional with roundedness in all of our body parts. And then this morning, I'll just end with a little sprouting from the practice of authentic movement. So we just bring our hands to our heart, and we take a few big breaths. And we expand those arms way out as if we're seeing the whole group around us, the whole community, and just feeling the love and connectedness. And we just bring that back into our heart, so that it's like a big, deep breath of connectedness. Thank you for joining me, and see you next time. Many blessings, many moving and dancing.